Any comments on the 2006 January 24th minutes? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item 2B is the RFQ for the design document for Losner Park. Moved by Councilwoman Bell. Is there a second? Second by Vice Mayor Losner. Any comments on the design documents for Losner Park? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item 2C is the withdrawal from the EPA Brownfield Cleanup Grant Resolution. Moved by the Vice Mayor, second by Councilwoman Wallman. Comment, is there any way we can keep this $200,000?
We didn't get it. I wish.
I know we got to come up with a different process to deal with it. Is there a way we could...
This was designed, I think, on the phyto remediation.
Designed specifically for that process.
Yes, and we have, believe you me, we have scratched our heads and tried to find a way to not have to give this money back. But in talking with Durham, they really do not believe that this phyto remediation in the end is going to work. They believe that the depth of the ground there that is contaminated is significantly deeper than the roots that the ferns will go in trying to absorb the arsenic out of the ground. They also are concerned that and want us to do a test of a piece of it before we proceed to full remediation. And that test would last from 6 months to a year, and then would be evaluated by them, and then they would tell us whether or not they thought it was worth doing the rest of it. And we just don't want to keep the land tied up that long. And we were looking, by the time we then try to go through a remediation process, if it worked, 3.5, 4 years down the road. And I don't think that the council wants to keep that land tied up for that period of time. We're going to have opportunities for development there before then, and once we get into that phyto remediation, much beyond this point, you get to a point of no return, and you got to ride it to the end and hope it works some, because if you stop in the middle, EPA is liable to ask for all their money back. So
what's our alternative for cleanup?
Well, and this is one of the things that Durham talked to us about. They believe that this is a great place for some sort of development, probably a mixed-use development, where between slab and parking, you're covering most of the ground. Because the issue with arsenic in the ground is its effect on the groundwater. So if you cover most of the ground with building and with parking, and in the areas which you want to landscape, that's where you actually take the dirt up and bring in fresh dirt. You have then either covered the areas that have arsenic in it, or remove the areas that have arsenic. Because the issue is the rainwater falling and washing the arsenic through the ground into the groundwater. So by capping certain dirt and removing other dirt, you have in fact remediated the issue. And that's the kind of thing that Durham is actually recommending we do, rather than do a phyto remediation there.
Okay.
So is that not happening now? Is it not raining on it and washing it into the existing system?
Yes, and that's why they have us with 4 test wells on one parcel and 3 test wells on another parcel, having to take readings every 90 days and report to them about the changes in the arsenic in the groundwater. And we will have to continue doing this until we either remediate it in some way through development, or until it gets to a point where the groundwater contamination from the arsenic is either decreasing or stopped, which is probably not going to happen for years and years just through natural rain.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Mayor. It just didn't seem to be that wasn't happening now. Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
How deep does the soil have to be removed in order to get all the arsenic, so to speak?
You would, depending upon how deep the dirt goes, you would have to take out all of the dirt. I mean, you've got a limestone base under there somewhere, but you would have to take out tons and tons and tons and tons of dirt.
But there's two options. There's option number one, which is cap it, and there's option number two, which is remove it, whatever it is, down to the limestone or the cap rock or whatever you want to call it. So there is another option other than just capping it.
Yes.
But it's an expensive option.
Very, very expensive.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. Any other question on this? We have a motion and a second. If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 2B is the Karen Meeks Center for Business Management Contract Extension Addendum.
I'll move this, Mayor.
Moved by Councilwoman Bell. Is there a second?
Second, Mayor.
Second by Councilman Porter. Any question on the extension? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 2E is the American Express and Resolution.
I'll move it, Mayor.
Moved by Mr. Porter.
Absolutely.
Second by Ms. Wallman. Any comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The Iowa Planning Group Professional Planning Services and Resolution under tab 6.
I'll move it unless you want to talk about it.
Yeah, been moved by Mr. Porter. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Bell. Any comments?
I just would like to say, Mayor, that we depend so much on your services, and I think it's helped me over the years, and I know it's helped me to make better decisions than I would have ever known to do. So I wholeheartedly support this.
Any other comments? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Wastewater Management Agreement for Collection of Recyclable Material under tab 7.
I'll move it.
Moved by Councilwoman Bell. Is there a second?
Second, Mayor.
Second by Councilman Porter. What are we currently paying on an annual basis for this service? About $100,000, $200,000 a year?
I got the per person, but the annual,
Yeah, it's roughly around $100,000 for it.
About $100,000?
Yeah.
Any other comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 2H is the Defense of Official and Ethic Matters Ordinance. It's an addendum to this agenda. Is there a motion for approval? Item 2H.
It's a loose,
Mr. Mayor, this is one of the rare items that I put on the agenda. This is the ordinance that I've spoken to some of you about, but basically what it does is to, and we've been recommending this in many of our cities, it sets up a procedure whereby when a council person has an ethics charge against them, filed either at the State Ethics Commission or at the County Ethics Commission, it provides that the following certain procedures, the city can provide them with the defense. And the reason that this has come up is that it's been particularly troubling to us that in certain circumstances, council people have been forced to, where they think they're absolutely correct, where they've been forced to basically settle these things and sort of take it on the chin because they really don't have the resources to fight these things. It does. It sets up a procedure for hiring an outside attorney, for the fees to be approved by the manager, for it to be a knowledgeable person, and in the event that they're found guilty, for the money to be refunded to the city. Several of our cities are in the process of adopting this. One already has, and so that's why I placed it on the agenda. I just feel like it's a protection that you should have.
Is there a motion for approval? Moved by Mr. Porter. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilwoman Wallman.
no question, Mayor.
Discussion, Mr. Vice Mayor?
Thank you. Richard, and I know you and I have had discussions off and on about this, and some of the other municipalities that you're familiar with that have adopted this, was there any cap on the expenditure or any limitation? Let's just say, for example, if it was out of an election process.
The way this is set up is that part of your budget process, you're going to put a certain amount into the budget for this, and that's going to be the cap. There's not a cap on a particular person's expenditures, but there's money can't be spent that hasn't been budgeted. So if you decide that for the year we're going to put aside X dollars for this, that would be what would be available. You could always amend the budget, but that's the sort of cap. There's also provision here for a review of the legal bills to make sure that they're reasonable, and also a review of the rates the attorney's charging to make sure it's reasonable too.
As well as recovery.
As well as recovery.
You finished, Ms. Vice Mayor? Ms. Bell?
Thank you. Yeah, after, and I know we discussed this, I feel better with it because at first, you know, and having been the victim of one of those people who settled because I couldn't afford the thousands and thousands of dollars to defend a silly, silly claim, I still had concerns about, you know, just carte blanche or someone hiring an attorney at the city's expense. I had a lot of concerns. But I'm comfortable with the fact that a person is going to settle if they think they have a chance of losing rather than spend the city's money, because if it's a very valid charge and they're found guilty, then they're going to have to pay back that expense to the city. So I think that's a built-in protection to the taxpayers, if you will. It's a built-in protection to the city, but it still protects council from frivolous kind of stuff. So I think this is a very good balance.
Any other comments? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Finance Committee, Councilwoman Bill.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. A, purchase of Dell storage array and blade servers and resolution. Mr. City Manager?
Move the recommendation. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And the ayes carry. B, T.R. Jones and Company and resolution, tab 9. Mr. Manager?
This is really a continuation of our insurance brokerage firm that does provides the services for professional service for our insurance, professional insurance, risk management, consulting services throughout the year as part of their scope. This term will go through September 06. For this particular contract, it's $33,000.
I'll move the recommendation. Second.
It's been moved by Mayor Warren. It's been seconded by Councilman Porter. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And the ayes carry. C, St. Paul Travelers Insurance Company and resolution.
Again, Mayor and Council, this is insurance for commercial casualty as our primary excess coverage for general liability, law enforcement. We've had St. Paul's for some time.
I'll move it.
It's worked well for us.
Second motion.
It's been moved by Councilman Waldman. It's been seconded by the Mayor. Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And the ayes carry. And D, Preferred Governmental Insurance Trust and Resolution.
This is for our excess workers' compensation policy. Again, this has been approved. I say been approved. We've used them before. They've done a good job.
Move the recommendation.
Second.
It's been moved by the Mayor, seconded by Councilwoman Waldman. Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And the ayes carry. E, Water Use Permit Renewal.
Yes, Mayor and Council, this probably will take some explanation. As you know, our permit for water, just like you've probably been reading a lot about the county, this permit for water for the coming term permit is up for South Florida Water Management. There is a little fallout probably in asking questions and being more circumspect of these permits that are going up now. We feel they've asked us, we have reuse, in other words, so we're not in the position the county is. We designed our system to where we have what we consider 100% reuse. We, at the wastewater treatment plant, we treat the water, goes back in, is put back into the aquifer. And that is what we are saying to South Florida Water Management, because we want to increase our volume of water because of our growth, but at the same time we are saying that we do have 100% reuse. What they want us to do is to do a study to show how our reuse impacts on the aquifer that we draw our water from. So we have hired our engineering firm, Hazen & Sawyer, to do the study. do the hydrological study to see where our reuse water, when it goes in, before we put it in at the site, where it goes to prove or show that we have reuse that impacts the aquifer that we draw water from. So that will make us...
Well, don't they know that already after all these years about our reuse system?
Well, I'll let...
we got to spend... We recertify our process.
Well, basically, they agree that we do reuse. What they want us to prove to them is that we put it back into the ground in the right location. They want us, through this model, prove actually the positive effect that our putting the water down into the ground here, how does that affect Lake Okeechobee? Basically, that's what. So we're doing this model that basically traces the water back all the way from Homestead through the canals up through to the source water, which is Lake Okeechobee. And by doing this, the idea is to prove to them that, yes, by us putting the water down in this location, we're actually benefiting the district as a whole. So that's what they're after.
So you're just certifying what we're already doing, is what you're saying?
Exactly, yes.
So basically, we get to spend $30,000 to make the South Florida Water Management District feel better.
Yes, and then they can use that data for other things as well.
And once we prove that it's being done, they will reimburse us the $30,000?
Yeah, we get the permit.
We need to get our permit.
We get the permit, okay.
We get the permit, yes.
This has not been yet moved.
I'll move it.
Second.
It's been moved by the mayor, it's been seconded by Councilman Porter. Any comments?
Just one question.
Yes, thank you.
Do we get credit for the reuse of the water completely, or are other people taking credit for our reuse?
No, actually, the reason for this model is for us to be able to take full credit for our reuse. That's the idea.
We're getting lump summed into this water issue as though we're not reusing, we're not doing our part. We're either probably one of the few that are doing our parts to reuse the water.
Correct. Yes, the district is now in the process of changing their policy regarding water use and withdrawing water from the Biscayne aquifer. So they're basically applying the same criteria to everybody regardless of what they've done in the past. In other words, they're making everybody prove their case.
That'll be fun to watch.
Oh, it's gonna get ugly. Yeah.
Get dicey. I think too, one of the things you were talking about, the reuse has usually been claimed by the county as part of their reuse, and Homestead makes up 50%. We've been told by South Florida Water Management, 50% of the county's claimed reuse amount is from our operation here. So that's a pretty interesting figure.
It's big. It's big.
Well, how long would this study take, Julio?
It'll be completed next month.
Oh, next
Yeah.
month.
Yeah, we have to have it completed before the April 12th meeting at the district, where we're going to go back up in front of the board to...
Could you give us an update on the results of the study once you...
Definitely.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes carry. Thank you.
Anything else for finance, Ms. Bell?
No, sir.
Thank you. Parks and Rec Committee, Councilwoman Roman.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. We have a presentation. John, are you going to do the presentation on the final options for the Harrisfield restroom project?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I'm here today to show you some conceptual drawings and some product samples of what's going into the new Harris restroom project. To just review the project quickly, we're building a restroom directly adjacent to the existing pavilion, right to the east, which would sit slightly on top of the berm. We're not going to remove the berm completely because we're going to use some of that height for some gravity for the sewer. And the architects from BA International are here, and we're going to just show you some samples. If you have any questions about any of the products or what we're putting into it, hopefully we'll be able to answer them. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly explain each board, then just put it there so you can pass it around and see if you have any questions. The first board I'm going to pass around is a view of the exterior, and it'll show that we have a product sample of a hardy board type material. It's going to be a concrete block. structure, but it's going to be paneled with this wood grain composite hardy panel to give it more of the rustic look of the barn pavilion with the rodeo right next to it, and hopefully with the thought of it fitting real nice into what it is over there right now. And to cap around the front and then the rear would be some natural stone. There's some pictures of that. Do you have samples of that as well? And we have some samples. So I'll pass that around. This is what the exterior will be. Guess I'll keep it going. The second board I'm going to be passing around is an interior view. On this board, be careful with this board because it is heavy. It has some real samples on it. It gives a sample of the tile that we'll be using in the interior walls. The plan is to tile from floor to ceiling, not only for aesthetics but also for maintenance and long-term lifespan. Also, you'll see some samples of what we were recommending for dividing panels between the stalls and countertops. Staff is recommending this product on top, which is a composite material which is highly resistant to graffiti and vandalism and also looks very nice. The second option would be the plastics that you see typically used in modern restrooms. And then the last sample is an epoxy floor covering, which also is durable, easy to clean, and it has a non-skid effect to it. Also, you'll see here the architects were proposed a few options. One was an exposed beam ceiling, which has an open air look, and then there's a finished ceiling. Staff's recommendation, after reviewing it through staff, is that although the exposed beam ceiling architecturally may look better, open air, that we go with the finished ceiling, because we have the exposed beams at the Harris football stadium right now. We've had some problems of people climbing up in there, and then maintenance of maintaining the beams, sound, and just issues that we've experienced with the Harris football restrooms. Staff's recommending the finished ceiling, but it's certainly an option.
John, while you're passing that around, the hardy board, I couldn't tell from the rendering, is that going to have the appearance of lap siding or plywood? Because I've seen both.
It's going to be lap siding, actually.
Okay. That's what I hoped the answer was. Thank you.
Okay, the last board that I'm going to pass around is an exterior review. In addition to the restroom, we're designing into the project a covered walkway that would connect to the parking lot, and you can see with this drawing here, this overhead view, would connect to the parking lot so a person can be dropped off, walk through the covered entry, and we're creating a grand entrance to this space. Another feature is we plan to put a perimeter fence around this area. And if you could visualize in your head connecting with the US 1 at the entrance, the US 1 entrance, and fencing in, including that small parking lot immediately to the south of the pavilion, then going all the way around, and then going alongside that landscaped area where the berm is, and then connecting all the way down to US 1 again. What this is going to do, the parking lots will still be accessible on sliding gates, but if someone was running a dance or a dinner, an event that they want to sell tickets for, this is going to provide us real nice control. It's really going to expand the uses of the pavilion. Between the restroom and now being able to control access, we're going to be able to add more activities to the area. And as well as, for Parks and Recreation, some of the events we do, holiday events, we want to put some bounce houses, some games for the children. We'll be able to keep the kids in a nice controlled area and not worry about the traffic. Safety, which was one of the reasons for moving the restroom, so they don't have to cross the street to move the restroom. So it's going to create a real nice special event area and expand uses not just for the city, but for our community users. And you'll also see the nice detail of this covered walkway. These views here is what the architects envision for the walkway.
Ms. Walwood?
Yes.
I didn't catch it. What type of fencing is that? Is it decorative or is it some of the
I know John was looking at several different
The option that we're looking at right now is to use decorative along the south side, and then around to just where the restroom is, and then when it gets to the back area, the back larger parking lot, to turn a chain link there for cost.
That makes sense.
Any other questions?
Do you have any questions?
Yes. Mr. Porter?
John, let me ask you a question. Does this change increase parking or decrease parking?
It decreases available parking just to the general person who drives in that parking lot right now. Because in non-use times, we will have that area secured. It'll secure the restrooms, the pavilion, and the area. During event times, depending on how the user chooses to use it, it'll have either reduced parking. If they choose to have a closed event area, if it's an open event area, it will keep parking the same.
Let me just use the example of the rodeo. There's an extremely difficult problem with lack of parking over there. So compared to that, would it help or hurt the parking that you said?
It wouldn't affect, because I envision at times of the rodeo, even if they're not using the pavilion for that event, the parking would be open for that event. If it's a YMCA or a very large football game, those are occasions where, I can see requests to have that open, and that we would provide some sort of manned security during that time.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Porter, any other questions?
And maybe you're going to get to the stone texture, or is that just there for our review?
I think the architect, yes. Would you like to?
Well, I'll jump the gun,
Go ahead.
and that may be appropriate to North Florida or Georgia or North Carolina, but I would think that maybe there'd be some synthetic, or maybe something that's more native looking that may be more appropriate to South Florida than some of the, mountain or river rock looking textures. Not that it's not nice, it just may not be appropriate for South Florida.
I chose these actually so that you can see the textures and the patterns that we would be going with. The colors actually that I really would like to go with the gray and the bluish, because it matches with the hardy board and also the stone that you would have on the stage area that's concrete now. So depending on if we change that or not. Again, we're open to suggestions regarding the stone and regarding the interiors as well, which is why we put together the boards for you all. I don't really want to pass those around. Or if you want to just come touch them over.
Do you have flagstone there? That was what I was trying to...
It's not flat stone, it's actually the second one in. It's the flattest surface that they have. But again, this is just one company. We have multiple companies, and also we have natural stones that we can go toward.
There's a question.
Yes, Mr. Porter.
I would love to assume that we would never have any problem with graffiti on the building. But assuming that there were a problem, would that be easy enough to maintain that?
Well, first off, this is a really small portion. It's just a trim around the bottom and of the front entrance and also of the rear. As for treatments for graffiti and for ease of clean, we'd have to look into that. I really do not know. I don't believe that stone is something that you can clean off easily. So. Well,
that was, when we originally started talking about this, that's one of the issues we were really concerned about with the inside of the restroom, because there is obviously an element that doesn't really care much for anything, especially city-owned properties.
Well, to go into the restrooms on the interior, that's the reason we chose that material as well, because that is not susceptible to permanent markers and to other things that easy to clean.
I've seen that product, that floor sample used, and that divider, it's really, really good stuff.
And it's really cost-effective because it's not that much more expensive than the plastic laminate that you see.
Well, the only thing that I'm saying as we move forward, there's going to be people that are going to try to do something to it, and I just don't want us to create a problem where we can't maintain it or we always have problems maintaining it.
Well, I think that also the security that you all are just speaking about, the fencing, it's going to be closed off and it's going to be semi-controlled. I mean, you'll only have people in there during those events, and if they're ticketed, you'll have control over it. If they're not ticketed, you're still during an event. It's not going to be like John was telling me. Now it's open, so there's kids that go over there and they throw the rocks all over the floor, and they're hanging out there. It'll be more controlled this time. Again, it's a small element. If we need to look into something else that's more durable, by all means, we'll check it out.
I just asked John, you know what the problems are with the parks, you know what issue I'm talking about, so as you move forward, if you can maintain it, then I'm fine with it.
We're looking to two things as it relates to the bottom stone use. We're looking to a more Florida-style stone, and at the same time, if there's something that we could choose that looks very nice, looks, it makes, touches up the place nicely, but it also would not be a major headache for us. We do expect to reduce graffiti with the fencing because hopefully they won't be jumping the fence. If they do, we'll catch them. Because we are also talking about putting cameras in. We've had a meeting with the police department and see what sites that maybe we want to look into putting some cameras in to secure our sites. So we'll take a look into that and we'll report back.
Thank you, Ms. Walden.
Yes.
Sorry, Mr. President.
No, sir, thank you.
Well, I'm glad to see the fence coming. I know that, a couple of events a year, I see just the abuse that is inflicted upon the pavilion. And it's unfortunate that it's going to have to be locked off. I guess it's going to be locked off when it's not in use. But last time I was over there, the deadbolt locks were just spinning in the double metal doors, and it looked like someone had actually tried to kick in the metal doors to get into the back room. And maybe this will help, preserve and protect the pavilion as well.
Yes, and I'm not sure if I mentioned as part of this project too, we're going to be replacing the doors on the existing pavilion. We're going to be repairing the stage. We're looking at materials now. Should we stay with wood or go with something else? And just repainting, doing some fascia work. We don't want to build this beautiful gym and then not have the building next to it looking equally as nice. So we're doing that as well.
That's going to be coming up at a later time, and we'll be bringing all those recommendations forth.
Yeah, we're real close. You're 90-some% right now, correct?
Yeah, we're already, actually, after we choose these materials and decide on which upgrades we're going to do to the pavilion, we're ready to go.
Yeah. The bid package is coming soon.
Councilwoman Robinson?
Yes.
I wanted to say I really love the materials that you did choose for the bathrooms. They are, I have seen them in other places, and they're very, very washable, but I definitely like the blue over the red. And I think, now, my understanding is the brick is trim.
Yes.
It's just trim work.
Very little trim.
I think the rougher the better. I mean, the rougher texture the better as far as, there's nothing that's graffiti proof, but it would make it harder just to mark on, variated textures and depths. I think it would make it harder to write on. So the rougher the texture, I think the better. And I actually like the brick. I don't know why it always has to be Florida style. I like the brick. I like number 2 right there on the right.
John, are you ready for us to move forward for final? I mean, are you ready for us to make a motion and move forward with this? I mean, just a presentation. I don't know whether you want us to.
If there aren't any major changes, I mean, if you move it forward, certainly. If you want to wait until if you would like me to come back ASAP with alternatives to this stone, I mean, you just tell me.
Let's move.
Yeah,
okay, that'd be great.
Do I have a motion?
Move.
Second.
Second, moved by Mr. Porter, second by Councilwoman Bell. Any more comments?
This hurricane proof, right?
Of course it is. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. So you'll be coming back then pretty quickly then with the pavilion recommendations.
The bid package should be ready in probably 2 weeks.
Very good. Thank you so much. Beautiful job. All right, the next thing on my agenda is the use agreement with the Clark Davis College Baseball Softball Tournament to be held in 2007. I'm going to turn this over to Marlene because she had the opportunity to meet with the gentleman. I don't know where I was, but I wasn't able to talk to him. But the reason we're doing this now for 2007 is that we have to make plans. So Marlene.
Councilwoman Waldman, members of council, we're asking your approval to move the attached agreement forward for the 2000 Homestead Challenge. I'm calling it Homestead Challenge. That's how we all knew it before. A gentleman has come forward, Mr. Clark Davis. You actually approved this last August, but it was too late in the season for him to garner enough support from the college teams. But he has put forward a very informative website and has got a lot of interest in from colleges who want to come back here to Homestead. So we're asking your approval to move forward and to allow Clark Davis to bring the Homestead Challenge back to Homestead.
I move this, Judy.
Okay. Okay,
Second.
Second by Mr. Porter. Any other comments?
Just one question. Marlene, I always ask this, but the rental of the dormitories have always in the past, not always, have sometimes in the past been a problem because of the status of the building. And it's always, it has and can be a situation when someone goes in and really unhappy with the situation. Can we be comfortable? I understand it's not the Holiday Inn, but there's got to be some reasonable type of establishment over there before we start renting it out.
We rented it out last year to the Atlantic League. Unfortunately, they couldn't come back this year. They chose another location. But we feel comfortable that the dorms will be in habitable order for when they come here in February.
If I might just piggyback on that, I mean, I go out there with our team, and we walk through those dorms. I mean, it's hard to keep them up, but they are presentable. They really are, and we really had to go in there, and I commend Kirk and John and Marlene and the team for, you don't know what mess it was in at one point of time. So they've done a really good job, very good job. I think we got a pool table over there now too, right?
A what?
We have a pool table over there now too.
Oh yes, there's a pool table.
A pool table over there. So, Mr. Rosner, do you have a comment?
Yes, just coincidentally, I was speaking with someone in a business relationship the other day, and they commented about how, and they're like a national kind of fast food franchise, and they commented how they missed and what a big impact the old Homestead Challenge tournaments, a positive impact on their business. So I know that those in the food and hospitality business in our community are really going to be gladdened to see this tournament coming back. I mean, they just off the cuff and out of their way to talk about how beneficial it was to have those hundreds of players and the support staff and the families come in and out of town for those several weeks. Made a big difference in their business. It's a good thing.
That's strange because, and I'll say the name, Jimmy Curcio from Capri was talking to me, and he said the exact same thing. He said how they have missed these teams, and not only from a business point of view, but I talked to so many residents. I didn't realize how many people went to the college games, and they enjoyed it. They took their families. They went out at night. They really enjoyed the games, and they missed them this year. So Marlene and I had talked about this, and Kirk and John, and we just felt it was very important for us to get an agreement and get it moved forward now for the 2007 season. Any other comments or questions? No? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Is that it for Park and Rec?
I just want to say, Mayor, that the Parks and Recs Department and I are planning a workshop. Did we set a date, Kurt? We did set a date, didn't we? Yeah, the 15th of March. It's going to be at the Minor League Clubhouse, and it's going to be on a discussion of Audubon Park and some of the pathways and the things that we're doing tons and tons of work over there. Can't wait to bring everything forward to show you. But we are going to have a homeowners meeting. We're going to be inviting all of Keys Landing and all of the villages of Homestead to talk about the changes. It's a big change for people who have lived there for all these years, and it's been kind of quiet, and now this is going to be a much busier park. So we'll be holding that at 7 o'clock on the 15th. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Wellman. Mr. Porter, Safety Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On item A, it's an amendment to the citation ordinance. Captain Chong, could you come up and explain this in the same manner that you explained it to me so that the council understands the problems you're having?
Good evening, Mayor and Council, Mr. Manager. What we're asking to do is to amend the citation ordinance the way it's currently heard now in a county court to have these citations held before our special master. We're experiencing some problems with the current system. The number one problem is the chief judge doesn't believe there's any enforcement option available to them if the defendant doesn't show up for a citation. In other words, if one of my officers will write a citation, the defendant person can wrote the ticket, request a court hearing, and they do not show up. The judges do not feel they have any authority to impose any sanction, whether a bench warrant, whether driver's license restriction, nothing at all. What they have been doing is dismissing the case. So basically, you request a court hearing, you don't show up, the case is dismissed. Secondary problem we were having is we weren't getting subpoenas for officers on a routine basis. So when these cases were set to go before the judge, I would say only 25% of the time my officers would get a subpoena to go to court for it. And of course, if the officer doesn't show, the case gets dismissed. So it's a real problem for us. And really who it's unfair to is the person that pays the ticket.
That's right.
They don't have the benefit of the loophole, or the person that shows up for court and the officer just happens to get the subpoena, the judge hammers him. So it's really trying to correct something that is just not fair all around.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or comments? Captain Chong, I appreciate you bringing this forward, because of all the efforts that we're trying through the code enforcement to correct some of these problems, just to have people go before or not go before and have this huge loophole is kind of a ridiculous situation to be in. So thank you for bringing it to us.
Councilman Porter?
Yes, ma'am.
One question. Would this also to apply as far as non-enforcement to even code enforcement violations?
Yes, any city code violation that we can write a citation for, which is quite lengthy.
So we're toothless, basically. We're toothless. We can't do anything if they just don't show up. That's bizarre to me.
For our meeting?
Right. If the person just decides not to show up, then...
Okay, if they doesn't show up for our special master meeting, the special master can find them guilty based on the officer's testimony, and we can lien any real property that they own. So there is a recourse if property is owned. It's not 100% foolproof, but it's a lot better than we have now.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you, Captain John. Item number B, or tab, what is it, 14, is a Department of Corrections, which is a vital part of what goes on for us.
Move the recommendation, Mr. Chairman.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item C is a grant, school grant, Secure Our School grant. Is it moved by Councilman Wallman?
Second.
Second by Councilman Bells. Any discussion, any questions?
Just a comment. I was discussing this with Sandy, because we're still working on our truancy grant. Look at the date, Councilman Porter, when this was applied for, 2003. I mean, this is how long it takes. This is the process you have to go through just to get this type of a grant. And this is very, very good. Very powerful stuff. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries. Item D is the same school grant from 2004.
I'll move it.
It's moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, Mayor. That concludes our business.
And Mr. Porter, any non-agenda business for the committee of the whole? Any other business? Ms. Wallman? Mr. Vice Mayor?
No, thank you.
Ms. Bell?
Oh, I just want to congratulate the movers and shakers from the non-mover. And the non-shaker from the Herald article with you movers and shakers, Mayor Warren and Vice Mayor Losner and Mr. Ivan.
I move, he shakes.
From a non-mover and a non-shaker, congratulations.
Thank you. Anything, Mr. Manager?
One item, Mr. Mayor. Monday we'll be putting forth to council for approval or disapproval a proposed resolution dealing with telecommunications, and there's 3 bills at the state level for our legislature that would negatively impact our franchising, cable, and right-of-way exercise of authority if it goes through. And we're going to put forth a resolution requesting that we send the resolution forward to the governor and to the legislature, stating our position in opposition to these this legislation. And I think as we go up, we should push that as well. And Bob Levy will also get it once you approve this we just got it late, so we didn't have time.
What's the status of Dave Day? That's out?
That's out. It's gone.
So there won't be. So we will have to probably schedule to go up at some point.
I think. Well, actually, it was Monday. Probably we may have someone up there Monday if everything works out.
Well, wait a minute. Tag, I'm it now. There's the motorsports bill, or the rebate, the possibility it's gotten farther along than it ever has, and there's a committee that meets Monday, according to Bob Levy, where the manager's going to be out of town, and I'm trying to figure out if I can go unless anybody else can figure out they can go. They just dropped a bomb on us a couple days ago. But it's in front of Tax and Finance. Kurt, is that what committee?
Tourism Committee.
Tourism. Anyway, we'll see. I don't know if I'm not sure I can go.
It's in the tourism now?
Well, it looks at the impacts of it through all the different committees. So it's in the tourism committee now, so it might be easier to get it through there. But
I think the elected officials honestly are better than the manager, but if somebody needs to go, then we'll send somebody to go.
Okay.
I'm trying to.
Okay. Mr. Shada?
Mr. Mayor, council members, just to piggyback on what Kurt said, I didn't have an opportunity to speak to him after I spoke to the city attorney this afternoon. Gary Resnick, who prepared the resolution Kurt mentioned. The chairman of that committee, my understanding, is Ken Sorensen, and many of you know him. He's not the sponsor of the bill, so that's good news, and if you can make your calls or do whatever you can do to defeat that bill, that would be great.
Any business, Mr. City Attorney? Well, thank you all very much. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.